Oh, sorry guys, my camera just cut out. It records half an hour of footage, and oh my god, I didn't realise I'd gone that long, so I'm so sorry. This is gonna have to go into 4 parts. So I'm gonna try and get this last bit done as quick as possible and squeeze it into 10 minutes, because I really don't. Oh my god, 4 parts is a lot. That's 40 minutes. So I'm really sorry. So yeah, I was saying that he was put onto a ventilator not long after birth, because that basically they did it so that it was pushing air into his lungs to you know, open them up, and so he was getting more air. Yeah, and that basically is a tube that goes down their throat into their lungs. And then he was put on CPAP. I can't remember how long after that, but CPAP is basically a little tube that goes under the nose, and that's just wafting air into the nostrils. And that was just there, no it's not. What am I saying? Now CPAP actually goes, these prongs actually go like down into the nose, and that is pretty much just there. I think I might actually go down the neck as well, because he couldn't cry. But that's just there, pretty much. It detects if he needs help breathing, it will give him that extra help. But he came off of that at, I think it was 9 days old. So at 9 days old, then he got the little tube under his nose, which just wafted oxygen into his nose. Where are we? So at 8 weeks, he was allowed to come home. I think he was about 2.5 kilos, because they don't usually let preemies go home until they reach 2.5 kilos. I forgot to say, also while he was in Skaboo, I started breastfeeding him. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Breastfeeding and... yeah, what was the other thing? Oh, that's right, he came out of the isolate, the humidity crib. He came out of that and was able to hold his body temperature, so he never went back into it. Which I say is really common with preemies, that usually when they come out of the humidity crib they can't hold their temperature, so the majority of them go back in, but he didn't. Yeah, so when he was 8 weeks old, we were allowed to take him home, and we had to stay in the parenting unit, which is basically just like a little home. You have your room with your baby, your room in with your baby, and you know, there's a kitchen and shower, bathroom, a little lounge area, all that kind of stuff. And it's just sort of so you can see, you know, you're there on your own, but there's no nurses or doctors or anyone in there. But if you do need help, you can call them in. But yeah, you're basically there on your own, and it's to see, you know, how you go with your baby before taking it home. And you know, if you do well with that, then they let you take your baby home. And we stayed in there for, I think it was 2 or 3 nights, because his platelets dropped again, so he needed another transfusion. But yeah, the day that we were actually going home, you know, we had his capsule waiting for us, sitting on the floor waiting for him, and my midwife came by to see how it was all going, and she actually told us that no one had expected him to live. And I had asked right from the moment he was born. I'd asked almost every day when he was in NICU. I asked, you know, is there a chance that he could die? And every single time, whoever I asked had said, look, he is a very sick baby, but everything that is wrong with him, he will get over in time. Not one of them had the decency to tell me, like, yes, there is a chance that he could die, you know? Like, oh, bastards. But, yep, so he came home at 8 weeks. He was home for, like, a week. It was a really, really bad week. He cried non-stop, like, all through the night, and we took him back into hospital. Turns out his hernia a hernia was coming through in his groin, which basically means it happens a lot with preemies because obviously their bodies aren't fully matured when they're prem, obviously. And what happened is his intestine poked through, so it was in his scrotum. So the way with hernias, you can't tell that it's a hernia until it's poked through and you can physically see. So like one side of his sac was like huge and then the other side was normal size, so that's how they knew. And so he had to stay in and have an operation on that. That all went well. He healed fine from that. He came home. I'm not sure how long he was home for, but basically the same thing happened again. And you know, we rang and they were just like, oh, it's just the same as what they did with the first hernia when we said like something's wrong. They were all like, oh, it's just colic, you know, there's nothing you can do. You've just got to, you know, hold him and reassure him and all this shit. And we're like, the second time it happened, we're like, no, he's acting exactly the way he did with his first hernia. And we didn't drop it, like we, you know, continued on like, no, you're wrong, something is going on. And they finally let up and they're like, okay, bring him in, we'll check him over. Turns out, second hernia. Mother knows best, you know, the parents know better. We're there 24/7, we know things that doctors don't know. Anyway, don't even get me started on that because it gets me really pissed off. But, yep, so, oh my god, I totally skipped a whole bit. I got postnatal depression. I couldn't stand to be anywhere near him. I couldn't stand to hear him. I could hear him crying, even when he wasn't anywhere near me, when he wasn't even in the house. That's how bad it was. So he stayed for about a week with family, and then when he had the hernia operation, I decided that I wanted to try having him come home again, and since then everything's been great. Yeah, everything's good. I was put on antidepressants, which I took myself off of them ages ago. I think I was only on them for maybe, I don't know, maybe 7 months, and then I weaned myself off, and yeah, because I didn't want to be on them for ages or whatever. Didn't want to depend on them. Yeah. His hearing loss was detected at about 4 months of age. What did I do? We had to go in there, and when he was asleep, they put like little, actually I can't remember. No, they put little things in his ears and tested, and things on his head to test his brain waves to see if he was hearing the sounds. And yeah, that's when we found out he had hearing loss. And not long after that, he was fitted for hearing aids, and then he got them about 17 weeks old, I think it was. And we noticed a change like immediately. We could, he started smiling. So at 12 weeks, corrected, he would have, no, at 17 weeks, corrected, he'd be about 11 weeks old. I think 12 weeks is around about when they start smiling, like for real, when it's not just gas, it's actually they're smiling. So he was on track with that. Yeah, it was like he blossomed into this whole different baby. He was, he just seemed to grow in front of us. Like the change was just amazing. Oh, yeah, it was great.